President Trump and his administration are still painting a rosy picture of the economy, even as Americans face higher costs and a weak job market. Here's Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent declaring that the widening gap between the rich and the poor is dead.
I got sick of hearing about this K-shaped economy. I can say here definitively the K-shaped economy is over, and we're seeing more of a C economy where the lower end of wage earners are finally clawing it back, just like they did in President Trump's first term.
On top of that, the president continues to talk about the economy in unrealistic ways.
Our country right now is doing better than it's ever done. You know, when I see polls on the economy, I should have 150%, not 100%, because we have the greatest. This is the golden age of America. What's being built now in this country has never, ever been built.
The quote, golden age of America, President Trump is describing is far from the reality that many Americans are experiencing. A new survey found that majority of Americans view rising living costs as the biggest barrier to a better life, with 60% of respondents saying that they wanted greater financial security. Joining us now are two mayors whose constituents are facing the consequences of Trump's economy firsthand. Democratic Mayor Matt Turk of Allentown, Pennsylvania, and Republican Mayor Daniel Rickenmann of Columbia, South Carolina. Thank you both for joining us this morning. Mayor Rickenmann, there's obviously some positive economic indicators that the administration has latched onto, and they're committed to those talking points. And at the same time, also inventing statistics of their own and realities of their own, as you've seen the president do in interview after interview. But talk to us a little bit about what people are actually feeling on the ground and the disconnect there.
Well, I will tell you, I think it's here in South Carolina, we're maintaining, right? We're seeing some growth for a lot of reasons, but at the same time, people are still struggling. Affordability, we hear it every day from folks, and we're having to be creative like we've never had been in housing. We haven't had a tax raise in 10 years here, and part of that is because we really focused on making sure that things stay affordable for us. And you look at it, wages have not gone up to the level that we've seen costs increase. So it is a real conversation people are having today, and we're having to supplement. I'm not saying that we're doing terrible here, but we're not in the golden age here.
Yeah. Mayor Turk, Democrat. I want to show you two different parts of a poll from Reuters Ipsos. Only 23% of Americans approve of President Trump's economy. 63%, when you look at it, they disapprove of the U.S. economy. 70% disapprove of how he handles the cost of living. 70% disapprove of inflation. And we all know when you get in the 70s, you're talking independents and some Republicans. And then also this one shocked me, and I'm curious if it shocked you as well, that Dems are seen as more trustworthy on the economy. Which party has the better approach? It was the question. 37% Democrats, 36% Republicans, 27% not sure, and different party. Now, that's just a 1% difference, which statistically doesn't really matter much. But that is the first time in a decade, I think, of this poll asking this question that has actually happened. When you talk to folks, mayors are on the ground. You guys cannot dodge people in grocery stores like members of Congress can't dodge them at town halls. But when you're at the grocery store, when you're getting gas, when you're talking to people, does it feel like they're starting to trust Democrats more on the economy, or hoping at least that Democrats would do something differently than Donald Trump would be able to do?
So in Allentown, we have a bodega on every corner, and that's where I spend my time. In fact, on Friday, I spent my entire day at the corner of 11th and Linden, and I was talking to everybody who was walking by and walking in and out of that bodega, and the trust, I mean, they're looking for somebody who can actually make some positive impact on their lives. People in Allentown, but people in cities across America are struggling with gas prices, they're struggling with energy prices, they're struggling with the cost of food in the supermarket, and they're struggling with housing. And Mayor Rickenmann mentioned it. Mayors are focused on improving affordability in cities, and we don't have a lot of levers that we can pull. One of them is, trying to make it easier for housing to be built. We try to improve people's access to good jobs. But when the federal government can't get its act together and fund SNAP and fund these healthy nutrition programs, we don't have a good answer for that one as mayors. So people that I talk to in Allentown and across the United States, they're looking for somebody who can actually help them get ahead in their lives. And if the Republicans can't do it, or if the current administration can't do it, they're looking for Democrats to provide answers.
Mayor Rickenmann, President Trump gave an interview to Punchbowl News that came out on Thursday. And Jake Sherman asked the president about voter frustration. Listen to who the president says, or who he thinks folks are angry at. Watch this.
If I don't run, will those people go out and vote? And that's the one thing I can't tell. I'm going to ask them to. A lot of them are very angry at Republicans, to be honest with you. They're
Why is that?
I don't know. I mean, they're angry at Republicans, but they're not angry at me.
Interesting thing. Why?
They're not angry at me, but they are angry at Republicans.
Mayor Rickenmann, there in Columbia, South Carolina, what are you hearing from your constituents? Who are Columbia, South Carolinians blaming for what's happening in the country, particularly your Republican constituents? Are they blaming the president, or are they just blaming anybody but him?
Oh, I think it is. People are upset with the federal government all the way across from the administration to Congress because they're not getting things done, right? I mean, the SNAP program that Mayor Turk brought up is a great example, right? So they agreed on getting the online portal permanently, right? They've agreed on making sure that the discounts for healthy foods and proteins and others get put in. They've agreed on the fact that they expanded to have hot meals included, right? But they can't agree on a 2-year grace period to fix any overspending and fraud to get it done. Y'all came to the table for a housing bill, right? And finally got something done since the first time since 1992. It is people's frustration is with the federal government. They lean to us because they know that we get things done, but we are limited resources. You know, in a state of South Carolina, SNAP program as a whole, if we had to take it over states, like over $100 million a month. We don't have those resources, right? This is time for Congress and the administration to get on the ground and start talking to people like we do every day in the streets to understand the frustration is with the parties themselves. I've heard more conversations in the last 6 months about people wanting a third party to come to the table because so many people are now hovering together in the middle because they want to see things done about common sense. So I think it's not just I think it's the president, it's the administration, it is the Congress as a whole where the frustration is in my community.
And the Congress as a whole, where the Republicans are in the majority in the House and the Senate. And just to put an exclamation point on what you were saying, Mayor Rickenmann.
Wait, hold on. This didn't happen in the last 2 years either. I mean, we've seen this. If you looked at the last 4 years, jobs have gone down since 2022, et cetera. So that's why there's this boiling frustration on both sides. And, you know, I think it's the reality check that folks really need to understand what's happening in their communities.
And as NPR reported, more than 4 million people are no longer receiving food aid amid sweeping changes to SNAP that came out on Monday. Mayor Matt Turk of Allentown, Pennsylvania, Daniel Rickenmann of Columbia, South Carolina, thank you both very much for coming to the weekend. Still ahead, we will bring you the results from